What's up, Gamecock fans? It's your buddy Rooster back again. Wanted to talk a little bit today about what's going around about South Carolina, what's being questioned. Also, listen to some interviews from some of these players, and we'll talk about what they had to say in their interview. We'll talk about where the kids came from. If you're not a South Carolina fan and you find this video and you're kind of doing some searching what South Carolina has, what they're going to be, we're going to talk about some of the kids that have to fill in for some guys that are no longer at the program. And one of the big questions that people have about South Carolina this year is defensive line and linebacker. How do you replace the guys that aren't there anymore? We know, right? For all of you that don't know, 3 of South Carolina's defensive linemen are in the NFL now. Boogie Huntley, TJ Sanders, and Tonka Hemingway. So how do you replace those guys? Well, last year, Monkel Goodwine, who was a transfer from Alabama, was on the team, played, got a little banged up, probably didn't get as much playing time as he would have liked to got. But I think one thing about South Carolina a little bit this year, they're longer. I think they have a little more weight on them than the defensive line previously had. So can some of these guys take up from where the guys were last year? In an interview with Clayton White, he says he already has the guys. That was a question. How do you replace some of the guys? Are these guys just good? And he said, the guys that I have on this team are what I want on this team, are kind of in that, he's ready. These guys are ready. They're putting these guys to the test right now. Who's going to be the starters? I don't think we have a great idea. Right now, I think it would lean Nick Barrett, who last year took a red shirt so he could come back this year because he knew he was kind of behind those guys. But he's back this year, going to be the team leader. He's the older guy on the team. I think he's the leader for that defensive line. Well-spoken young man. He went to SEC Media Days. Seen some interviews from that with him. I think a lot of people were glad to talk to him. But Monkel Goodwine is 6'4". He's 305 pounds. So, not really the tallest guy. He's not one of these 6'6", 6'7" defensive linemen, but he's 6'4", and he's a little over 300 pounds. Good size for an interior defensive lineman, right? Nick Barrett, we talked about, 6'3", 322. So they got some beef on him. You need some beef to stop the run. We know South Carolina had problems at times last year stopping the run. One of the things that hurt us late in the game against LSU was the little Durham kid for LSU was able to run the ball, and we had a hard time really stopping him. So that getting a little more beef on that defensive line doesn't hurt the fact of stopping the run. You eat up some blocks. You let your linebackers flow. You even have some of your DBs at times to come up and help support. In the run, you don't have offensive linemen getting out there and getting to these guys on the second level. So I think being a little beefier will not hurt South Carolina. I think a lot of people are leaning that Goodwine and Barrett may be the 2 starters. We'll see how it transitions throughout preseason camp. By the time the season comes out, we won't really get a depth chart until SEC games are the only ones that require that. So I don't think we're going to see a depth chart before the Virginia Tech game. But a couple other guys I think that are in there. Caleb Williams, we knew had an injury. We don't know if he's going to come back, but he's a freshman kid. Probably not going to play for a while. The way Beamer kind of made it sound, he's probably going to be a red shirt if I had to guess. Xavier Hardy, who was supposed to come to South Carolina, had to get some stuff straightened out, went to junior college, transfers in, 6'5". Now, he is a taller guy. He's 290 pounds, maybe beefed up a little bit. Some of these weights may not be accurate. I got these off of South Carolina's website. I don't know when they were last updated, but he's about 290 pounds. I think people expect him to be a big player in this defensive line in the rotation this year. Troy Pike's another transfer that came in. He's 6'3", 290. I think I've heard good things about him through some of the other people connected into the program to get to go to the practice or whatever, and the coaches had talked about him a little bit. Gabriel Brownlow Dindy. I listened to an interview by him yesterday. Big kid. 6'3", 315. Not the tallest guy, but man, I just noticed like he looks like a defensive lineman. Well, they say he's not mean enough or whatever, so I guess we need to feed him some hot sauce and some black pepper, raw steak, whatever you got to do. But I know T-Rob, and who coaches that defense, he's going to get that guy with some more fishes. Now, a lot of people forget he was a 5-star. He was a 5-star player out of high school that ended up going to Texas A&M. Just didn't work out at Texas A&M for him. Decided to get in the transfer portal, and now he's at South Carolina. I expect him to see a lot of playing time also in this rotation. The last guy I want to talk about a little bit, and there are some more defensive linemen scattered out through. I tried to kind of go with the guys that I think is going to be in that initial rotation. How many they're going to have, whether that's 5 or 6, I'm not sure. I'm not a coach. I don't know how these kids are performing really in high school or in practice, because I'm not there to put my eyes on them, and then they limit you on what you can see in practice anyway. Christian Ingram, another freshman kid. Heard great things about him. Supersized guy here. Tall guy. It's going to be hard to throw the ball around him when he's in the game, but he is a freshman, so he may make freshman mistakes, but a lot of good buzz about him around South Carolina's program, so I expect him to be in there. I expect him to work his way in there. Maybe he's not there the start of the season, but I expect this kid to really work himself into that rotation. He's 6'6", 310 pounds. Just looks like a physical monster to get in there on that defensive line. This in the beef. You see the over 300 pounders now. Same thing. We're gonna go over South Carolina's offensive line in a later video. Beefier guys there too, and we'll talk about some of the things I heard and took away from the interviews with those guys. But I want to talk about the linebacker core, because this is about the front 7. This is replacing a lot of the guys that were in that front 7. Realistically, you're replacing everybody but Dylan Stewart. You know what I'm saying? You kind of are. So I want to talk about the linebacker core too. I think they're fairly deep there. I don't know how many people will be in that rotation. South Carolina likes to rotate probably 3 to 4 guys. If they go to a set where there's 3 linebackers, 3 of them will be on at the same time. I don't see that a lot out of South Carolina, but I have seen every once in a while where they do bring a linebacker in to put pressure. And sometimes it's, depending on the offense you're playing against, you may see that third linebacker in a game. Sean Murphy transfers in from Florida State, was injured last year, didn't play in very many football games. Originally at Alabama, he was a Nick Saban recruit. Monkel Goodwine, same thing. Some of these names are people that were recruited by Nick Saban at Alabama. So they can't be too terrible, right? I don't know. Everybody loves Alabama. They talk about what a great job Nick Saban did recruiting defensive players and that type of stuff. Sean Murphy, like I said, injured a little bit at Florida State last year, decides to transfer into South Carolina. He's 6'3", 231-pound linebacker. A little bit older guy, so brings some stability to that linebacker core, some maturity to that linebacker core. Something you kind of lost with Debo Williams, who was an original recruit of Shane Beamer, came in that class. Debo did a lot for the university. And Demetrius Knight, who really did great last year. Everybody talked about how fast Demetrius Knight was. I think he hit like 20 plus 21, 22 miles per hour at some point, which is unusual for a guy the size of a linebacker. Fred J.R. Johnson coming back this year, his second year with the program. 6'3", 244. Everybody loves this kid. Everybody is just talking about this kid, from the players to the coaches. Everybody's talking about Fred J.R. Johnson and what a freak athlete he is. Still kind of young. Did get to play quite a bit last year. Really be. And this is still questioning, too, on who will be the starters. But as of right now, kind of the buzz I hear, it's Sean Murphy, and it's going to be Fred J.R. You got Justin Okoronkwo, another Alabama transfer into South Carolina. I think he was recruited by Nick Saban, but he kind of came in at the same time after Nick retired. I think he stayed with Alabama, ended up playing at Alabama under Kalen DeBoer. I'm not going to try to pronounce this kid's name. I don't want to destroy it. Hopefully I said it right. He's from Germany, so that's kind of why the last name is a little bit hard to pronounce for me anyway, being a Southerner. Maybe I just drag my voice too much. But they call him J.O. on the team. I'm going to call him J.O. or Justin O. 6'3", 231. A guy that transferred into South Carolina a couple years ago, and I think people really kind of put some expectations on him. They wanted him to do really well, and he got some action last year. He was still a young guy when he transferred into South Carolina. Was Jerron Willis from Ole Miss. Well, this kid has been in the gym, obviously, because he's not the tallest of the linebackers. He's 6'2". I mean, you're talking about an inch difference between him and the rest of the guys, but he's 254. Now, you almost weight yourself out of being a linebacker at this point into pass rusher. Now, he's a little bit short compared to what most people want as pass rushers these days, but that doesn't necessarily always mean anything. Not every pass rusher has to be 6'6", 6'5". People love that because they can get their hands up and knock down footballs. But Jerron Willis kind of came in some of that and applied some pressure in the spring game. Kind of was on the end of the line stuff, so we'll see how they use him. But that's four guys there you could see in that linebacker rotation. There's some other guys we'll talk about later on if the names start coming out and these guys start doing better. But that's kind of a breakdown of a lot of questions that people have about South Carolina. How are you going to replace that front seven from last year? Of course, Dylan Stewart pulls a lot of attention. That's going to help a lot of these other guys. We've gone through and talked about a lot of the defensive ends and stuff already. Who's going to play opposite? Go back and watch my video on Dylan Stewart and who's going to play opposite of him on that line. We'll get some action. We'll get some breaks. You got to have somebody that can stand up over there. Could Jerron Willis slide himself in? I don't know. There's a lot of defensive ends on South Carolina's football team. I think maybe he just stays in that rotation, because last year South Carolina kind of used four guys. They pulled two off and put two in, pull two off, put two in. So maybe that's that rotation again. You got to stay healthy. You got to stay prepared. It's a long season, tough schedule coming. So you got to get these guys ready. And I think we'll see a lot more younger guys. Second game, South Carolina State. If South Carolina pulls ahead of them by halftime, you'll see a lot of these younger names come in. Like a lot of these wide receivers and stuff that a lot of people want to know about. I think this is the time you'll see a lot of these young guys get a lot of action, and we'll know a little bit more about what South Carolina may look like in the future. But anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed this video. I hope I answered some questions for you guys. I hope I threw some names out there for some people that have questions about South Carolina's front seven and what they're going to look like this year. And hey, we'll keep talking about it. Season's coming soon. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe. Rooster's back. I got to build my channel back, man. I had a great following on my other channel before I deleted it. I got to find all my people. I got to get my people back. Where are my people? Anyway, don't forget to share the video. That helps also. And just let people know that I'm back. The name of the channel. Also, I'm putting up a video over on my SEC Lockdown Football channel about trap games. So be sure to go check that one out too and subscribe to that channel. But anyway, love all you guys. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your day and peace.